Hi Kirstie, here's the feedback for the mock exam that you did recently. So you scored the full 4 marks for question 1, so that's a good start. So if we move on to question 2, where you've been asked to analyse how the writer uses language to describe the effects of the storm. Now this had me in a bit of a quandary really, because you've written loads. I think you've spent far too long on this question, and you've written way too much, as is evidenced by the fact that you didn't finish the paper. All this here, first paragraph, isn't really relevant because you're not actually describing the effects of the language that's used to describe the weather. So here now we get onto that. You said actually that the writer, when describing the weather or the storm, the writer went on to use repetition as a way of emphasising the fact that the weather's unpleasant outside, but you've not given you an example of repetition, and I'm not sure which example you were referring to. But then you've gone on and given us a quote here and say that by elaborating on the weather, the writer's purpose was to install in our minds how bad the weather is. You've made a good comment on the fact that he started the new paragraph with such a long sentence to captivate the reader. Again, I think that's a good point. And readers are left wanting to read more. I like this bit where you've said that the fact that they've not described the thunder was purposely done, and I think I agree with you on that bit, to cause impact. So that was a good comment. And then we've got the use of personification to describe the waves, human-like qualities are furious, so again that's very good. And this little bit here, your analysis with the magnitude of the aggressive nature that is the weather. So I think you've made some good points there. I think you perhaps need to try and rein in your ideas a little bit, in that you've written way too much for an 8-mark question, so that's something that we will need to practice. However, it's got you 6 out of 8 marks for that question, so that's really good. But I think we need to be more timely in answering your question. And I really like this bit as well. This is quite perceptive, where you've said that it's a way of showing us, the reader, that the chaotic weather is also a reflection on the mood and thoughts of Alexander. So I think that was a really good point to make. Definitely worthy of the 6 out of 8 marks, so well done. Okay, moving on to question 3, the structure question, and how has the writer structured the writing to appeal to you, the reader. I don't think you finished this one, and you've started off well, seeing that you like the structure, although I'm not sure what you meant here by the writer was able to captivate and asphyxiate your imagination. Asphyxiate means to suffocate, so I don't think that's what you actually meant to write. But you've said that started it with a matter-of-fact statement, and you've given the example, and you've explained what the effect is of that on the reader, which is good. And then you've given the quote of the enormous blackbird crashing against the window, and the fact that it helps us to visualise what's going on, and then smoothly move the story on, starting the second paragraph in a similar manner to the first. But then we've got no further with that. So if we look at the mark scheme for this question, and at level 2, it says attempts to comment on the effect of structural features. And as far as you have done that. You've done that several times, and you have selected some appropriate examples, and you have made some use of subject terminology. So I think you can get 4 out of the possible 8 marks for this. You would have scored more had you continued and completed the story. So it's not a bad effort. I think one thing that we really do need to work on is your timing and trying to focus what you're writing, so that you're not spending too long on the easier questions or the questions worth less marks, and not attempting the higher mark questions. But we've got about 10 weeks left, so I think you could probably benefit from attending some of the catch-up or booster sessions just to make sure that you are able to answer all of the questions. I know you've got the knowledge, it's just being able to get it down on paper in the time that you've got allowed to you. But there's no reason why you shouldn't score very well in your exams if you keep attending your lessons and come to some of the booster sessions as well, just to practice those timely skills. So well done. Anyway, it was a good effort. So you've scored 14 out of 40 on the reading paper, particularly because you've not answered the last question, which was the 20-mark question, and you didn't attempt the writing question either, so it is overall 14 out of 80. But as I've said before, we've got time to work on the issues that we need to do.